Hey YouTube, Mochismo Eugene, another video from Exit Strategy. Welcome. I want to discuss about borderline personality disorder, which is the first cousin of the narcissist. You have narcissistic personality disorder, but you also have something called borderline personality disorder. They are very similar, but there's a distinct difference between the two. I got thinking about a time and an instance where I met a person, and in 30 minutes or less, they exposed themselves to be borderline personality disorder. Now, I happened upon it as I awakened in 2020. And I had discovered narcissistic personality disorder, which is what this third wife I married, who has been out of my house for almost 3-4 years. I got intensely into the whole idea associated with narcissistic personality disorder. Whatever information I had gathered, be it Dr. Ramani, Sam Vaknin, the Little Shaman, and I encourage you guys, if you've never heard Little Shaman, I've seen pictures of her, I've seen her, I have never seen her vocally talk on video, almost like Narc Survivor when I first met him or got introduced to him. I just heard his voice. He wasn't like visible. But now he does visible videos, and he had this eerie background, like something from Tales from the Crypt. This is Narc Survivor, and I've said this before, way back when. I don't know why I didn't tune this guy out. Well, I do know, because I gave him a few seconds to speak. Being open-minded as I try to be. And I'm glad I did, because a lot of times we'll hear content creators, and for one reason or another, we may not like the way they sit, the way they talk, the way they make different gestures. As long as they're not a narcissist, man, I want to tell you, man, give them a shot and see what you might gain from them, because the ones who you least expect are the ones that really got the nuggets for you. In this pursuit of trying to overcome narcissistic abuse and different things like that, I don't believe there's any information by any content creators that we should just dismiss as not being valid or pertinent to us moving forward in our healing. Unless by chance you are talking or listening to someone emphatically is a narcissist. And I've crossed a couple of those content creators in my time. And a lot of us here, we detect what they are, and we detect right away who they are. We know they have an agenda. And some of them, one particular one has about 100,000 subscribers. But I don't get into the name dropping and stuff like that. I just hope you guys begin to get very alert and aware, to the point where you'll be able to see these people. You'll be able to see these people sooner rather than later. So I want to talk to you guys about this borderline personality disorder, because it's not talked about enough. And I'll give you a situation in times past. 30 minutes. In 30 minutes flat, I was able to detect and discover that this person was a borderline personality disorder person. If you don't know much about that or this type of disorder, take a break from narcissistic personality disorder and check it out, because it'll pay dividends, and I'll explain to you why when I give you this story. I was going into a store. They were limping off into the same store, and they were pretty much almost in my peripheral, maybe 25, 30 yards or 30 feet off. Uh, and I wasn't paying any attention to anyone in that direction. I was pretty much had my mind on going into the entrance of the store, and I heard someone say, "I wish you could give me a piggyback ride. My back's killing me." No, I wish I could get a piggyback ride from you. Uh, my back's killing me. Total stranger, female, and I looked over nonchalantly and I say, "Be careful what you ask for. I'll give you one." And just being facetious. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be blatantly honest about this interaction, and maybe it may serve you well in the future. In all things not to do. Now that we're awakened, so just being, just throwing it back. Whatever the comment she made, I threw it back, and I proceeded into the store. And this person, I went to the return desk. I had an item I had to take back I didn't need. So they pretty much were saying a few things as I was walking into the store. So we were almost side by side, and I was like, "What happened to your back?" She's like, "Shoveling snow, blah 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 blah." I said, I said, "Man, that's crazy." I said, "Take your hot bath and use some joint ointment, and it should alleviate the pain at least until the inflammation goes down." And she said, "Yeah, I might do that." And so she proceeded into the store. I proceeded to the register to get this return taken care of. As I was about to leave, I had an unction to go through the store to basically eye shop, do a quick 5-minute run through, as I sometimes often do, being into the business that I'm into. And so I got halfway down the aisle. This individual was coming back towards me, and they had some items that they had picked up, and she began to small talk and this and that and that and this. And honest to God, it was in a moment where nothing was going on in my life. I mean, I didn't have anybody, wasn't involved with anybody, and wasn't even looking for anybody. So I kind of had a thought, said, hey, this is an older woman in my age group. I say, all these things, I'm observing. Nothing sticks out or jumps out at me that this person could really remotely have any signs jumping out at me. I mean, I didn't see anything, nothing. But of course, we don't see what we should be looking at, because something somehow distracts us to the point where we justify not seeing what we should have saw. Everybody knows what that thing or what it is that sometimes makes us give that person a pass. It doesn't always have to be physicalities. And in this case, it wasn't a physicality. It was just like the conversation was an adult conversation that seemed to have gelled with the other individual. Two people just gelling together. And that's how a lot of these disordered people will come in. They will blend in, they will start a nonchalant conversation, cordial conversation, and you will be none the wiser. But I'm going to show you why this only lasted for 30 minutes. It lasted from the time I met them going into that store to them texting me back as a response to a text I texted them maybe 20 minutes after we both left the store. And I'll get into that in a second. So anyway, I just started saying, she began to tell me, I say, "Let me ask you something. You involved with anybody?" She's like, "Nope. I was dating a guy and he was an a-hole." And every woman that I've met almost seems like they come right out of the gate with, "Are you dating somebody?" "Oh, I was," or "Not no more. I'm single. This guy, he was a jackass, blah, blah, blah." And that might be true, that person was an a-hole or jackass. But why were they? You hear this story so much, man. You just like the same old, same old. So I didn't say anything sideways or anything. I said, well, she said, I say, and I was just inquisitive. Why did this, what did he do? Well, we met online, and I was like, didn't say anything. Give people a chance to say their piece. She said, met online, and we started talking, and the very second conversation we had, he up and said, yeah, you must be going through your menopause. All you women going through menopause. And so they give you the story that is half put together. Because, my question is, why would he just up and, he said because I was acting moody. She said I was acting moody, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and she said, he kept saying it. He said it on 2 occasions. And she said, oh, I just got sick of that. I'm not going to take that. And I was like, he said that twice to you? And I say, was he trying to be funny or make a little dark humor or whatever? Do you think? She said, I don't know what he was doing, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay. I say, well, I guess you got every right not to accept that kind of stuff, that kind of behavior. And so she didn't give me much more out of that conversation. So I just kind of shift gears and said, hey, got things I'm doing here. Let me get going. It's nice to meet you. Hey, here's a card if you ever want to, have need for anything that's on that card. Just give me a call. She said, I got 20 acres. I got blah, blah. I need this or that. I forget what she needed done. I was half hearing her. I was like, okay, doesn't matter. I said, we can talk about it anytime. I say, hit my phone and we'll go from there. Maybe I can come and give you an estimate. And I say, you seem like a nice girl. Maybe we might end up becoming friends. And so we parted ways. And all of a sudden, 10, 15 minutes later, I said, man, let me shoot her a text. Because who knows what she's doing later. Maybe we can just, link up and do something, something fun, platonic, or whatever, like 2 older people normally would do. And I mean, I think it was probably a little forward of me, and I said that in text. I said, it's probably a little forward for me to ask, but what are you doing later? If you like, maybe I could drive up and we can find something to do in your area. And she was like, hold on, I'm still driving. This is how the reply was, hold on, I'm still driving. And I said, no worries. Now that didn't offend me per se, but something deep within me. It's kind of like I could feel the intensity of that text. And I know that sounds crazy. I could feel the intensity of that text. I said, no worries. Then I saw another text say, I'll call you when I get home or when I'm home. And then 5 minutes later, I'm home. And I didn't reply to anything at that point. Oh, I think maybe, if I can remember correctly, I might have said, take care of what you need to take care of, and give me a shout when you're done. And so about 5 minutes later, I think I got a phone call. No. Let me clarify. Oh, as she was leaving the parking lot, and I was like, yeah. I said, man, yeah, I'll come up. She said, where you live? She's like 20 miles away. I was like, oh, I'll come up there and check it out. And I said, but I won't get. I say, will I make it back? Guy like me going up in that area of the woods. And I said, she was saying something. I don't think she said anything against that or towards that. And I said, I'm just messing with you. I ain't a skirt. And that's kind of like a slang that I think a lot of people have heard. It's kind of like, I'm not scared, so I ain't a skirt. And so I shot that at her, and I was like, I'm a country boy, I ain't a skirt. And so I said, I'll talk to you later. So that's the part I left out. And when she gets home, she finally texts me. She say, I'm home. first thing we're gonna have to deal with is you speaking proper English. And I was like, this stuff is, the wheels are spinning. I'm like, is she kidding? And I replied back. I said, she said, but I'll clear. She said, I'll explain it to you when I call you. And I replied, yeah, that part about the proper English, you might have to clear up. And I say, but on second thought, that might not be necessary, because when you speak to me, you'll understand every word I say. And I say, when you get to know me, you'll be able to understand. The better you get to know me, you'll understand everything I say. And so I didn't mean that in any facetious way. I kind of had a second thought in my mind. I said, I'm not going to facilitate what this could mean or couldn't mean. And I reneged on explaining it. I was like, no, never mind. Because I had already started realizing that this person, I didn't realize at that moment that this person was borderline personality disorder. But as soon as she called me, she got on the phone, and I said to myself, I'm not going to even broach that subject. I'm going to allow her to elaborate, because it seems like something was just hot off the press that she wanted to get over across to me. And so I said, I'm going to play smart and not mention anything one way or the other. So she calls me. I said, hey, how are you? She said, and out the gate, I already knew it. She said, yeah, about what I was talking about, the proper English part. She said, you speaking like saying something, whatever you were saying, I didn't understand any of that. And I told her and elaborated on what it meant, and it wasn't that big of a deal to me. It's kind of like a little joke gesture or whatever that people tend to say, like a lot of other things. And so I said it was just play on words. And she was like, yeah. She said, my grandkids, you talking around them like that, boy, that won't work. And at this point, I knew that I was dealing with a borderline personality. And the reason why I gave you guys this story, because there's somebody that can relate to this, or if you can't, when you get in this little pinch or situation where in the entry stages, and this is 30 minutes in. Now, by the way, when that conversation ended, it didn't end bad, and because and then essentially said, listen, I am okay with the way I talk. I expressed to you what that was and how that went, and I said, to the degree that you're putting this energy into this, I say that's telltale to me that you're gonna have it your way or no way. And I said, it's kind of like you're trying to make some changes in my life or in the way that I do things, and I just met you. Because she had mentioned, she's like, yeah, it's not gonna work, and I'm, whatever age was, and I'm not gonna change now. So in essence, she was throwing out what I needed to do as far as my grandma, and she was basically writing her line in the sand, telling me that's the way it is. I'm not gonna change the way I am for nobody, is what she told me. So at the same time, you're trying to change me, but you telling me you're not gonna change anything about you. This is a distinct trait of a borderline personality or disorder person. They come in trying to change you. They try to rearrange everything you do. Let's say if you may eat a certain way, you may put a spoon a certain way. They're very methodical about tediousness, but their life's in shambles. But they'll do this in the entry of a date or the entry of an interaction. They can't suppress it because their whole life is built around trying to dot their I's and cross their T's. Now, that is a distinct trait of a borderline. because they have you so fixated on, or they're so fixated on, trying to uh, do everything in this seemingly facade of a perfection. So you're none the wiser that they're falling apart at the very core. The narcissist, when they meet you, they'll give you all of their accolades and this and that. But and a borderline will too. They'll just stack all of their credits and accomplishments out the gate. But they, in turn, too, will try to impose the rights and the wrong for you. These are very dangerous, methodical, diabolical people as well. But in my experience, I was able to detect that she was a borderline because I made a video about one that I had met uh, somewhere in the period of being awakened a few years ago. I've ran into several people that the relationship never culminated. It never got intimate. It never went that far at all. With the first borderline that I mentioned, it was intimate. You know, they have crazy, crazy intimacy, much like some of the narcissists. If you've listened to quite a few people in here talk, you know, some of them are very, very, very passionate in bed. But quickly thereafter, you will start realizing you're basically having romance with yourself. They act almost as though they're so mechanical, and in fact, that's what they are. They become mechanical. And actually, they were always mechanical, but we didn't pick up on it. They'll go crazy in the bed probably the first night out or the first experience with them, to the point where they're trying to enmesh you with them. They're trying to indoctrinate you romantically, emotionally to them. That's the first and the last time they're going to go hard in the paint. And I've heard Sam Vaknin say, when a narcissist is having sex with you, they're actually having sex with their self. They're using you to get their libido satisfied, almost like they're using you like a sex toy. And so they've tuned you out. They just want to get those fireworks out or fireworks going, and after that, that's all you're needed for. Very sick, twisted way of thinking, I would say, but that's all they have. They're just giving you the maximum capacity of what they have within them, which is zilch, nothing. So that phone call I was talking to you about, she got on the phone and she's like, yeah, I'm not going to change. And I said, well, you know, and I brought this thing, you know, when you run it back, and this is why we are awakening, because we're able to see and hear certain things that they say in the entry. This is the most important thing to save you from, not to say you're not gonna always know what a narcissist is or a borderline personality disorder person is right out of the gate. It might not even be a week, but that's why it's good. It may take longer than a week, but that's why it's good to not really always try to go to home base with these people or anybody in a relationship. You know, we've been told in the days of old, you know, it's good to get to know a girl, but in this society now, people are matching up, meeting up, hooking up. They're doing it on the first date. They're doing it on not even a date. They just can go in a store. They'll meet somebody the same night, and it's a go. But empaths, we're not built that way. We're not designed to be that way. We're not supposed to rush intimacy. We're not supposed to get gung-ho for that next new thing, no matter how hot or sexy he is or her. But we got on the phone, and when she said what she said about, yeah, you know, your grandma, you know, blah, blah, she said, that doesn't sound right. I don't think that's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what, at my age, you know, to say something like that, just, you know, off cuff, I don't have a problem with that. And I say, I think you're reading too much into that. I say, I speak very well when I want to. And I say, I'm from the South. Whenever I be speaking the way that I do from the South, that's that as well. I'm okay with my individuality. So I was saying this to her, and I say, you know, it's kind of like the menopause thing when you felt like the guy was going in at you, and you felt like offended by that. I say, but by the same token, you're trying to talk to me about how I should speak, and I've pretty much made it clear to you that I'm really okay with what I said. I said it for the reasons I told you, and it seems like you still are taking issue with that. I just think you're on a campaign to try to correct and right the wrongs of the world. And I say that's something that you're going to be doing until you go to your grave. I say so many things in the world that people do, it should be respected as their individuality. And I mean, as long as it's not offensive to you by way like what the guy told you. And I say that's directly offensive. And I say by the same token, you going on and on about this thing that I don't believe is a big deal. And I don't even know you that well. We just met, and this is what you're telling me, that I'm going to have to change the way I speak, and your grandkids are not going to be around me for they're not going to be hearing me speak this way. And so I'm kindly, and as I was doing this, the light came on. This is a borderline personality disorder person. God showed me that you almost put some emotions into the wrong thing, into the wrong person. This almost could have been you. You could have been enmeshed with this individual, and you would have went through one more abusive cycle. See, with the borderline I got involved with for the short time I was with her, or dated her, or seeing her. I don't even think it was considered dating, because we never made an arrangement of dating. It was kind of like a 1 off, 2 off, 3 off, 4 off, or whatever it was. She lives not far from me. And you know this girl stays, this person I'm talking to you about, she stays in her house all the time, because I do properties in the area. So it's off of a main street, one of the main streets. And so I noticed when I was seeing her, she never goes anywhere. And then when she goes somewhere, she has animals and a couple cats. They're adamant about that. They're adamant about keeping the cats and the dogs on top of their game. But they won't do anything where it pertains to them. They become obsessed with the thing that they want to make seem like they're this good person. They put all their energies into the animals, if they're that animal type lover, borderline. And I think a lot of borderlines that I even observe now just from afar or casually being in their presence, because I can almost detect some of them, because they go on and on and on about, and another determination that you may be dealing with a borderline, they end up, their speech becomes very, very accelerated, very accelerated, very accelerated. And there could be some connection, because a lot of times people think this is a bipolar disorder person, because how they ramp up when they get on there, they ramp up and they start speaking very, very fast, because it's almost like their levels of whatever the words are, to the point where a lot of times they'll rage and they'll get, so what I'm trying to tell you is, anytime you are dealing with somebody that may say they have bipolar disorder, in many cases these individuals very much could be, and in many cases are, borderline personality disorder people. They've just gone to the wrong person or doctor, and they may have gone to a doctor that has really determined that they were borderline personality disorder, but they would dumb it down for the world and society and people around them, friends and family, make it digestible and say bipolar disorder, because that is how they get free shit. And this is how they get free passes for behaving badly. So anyway, back to that story about that call. She was like, yeah, I'm not changing, blah, blah, blah. And I say, hey, I know how it goes. And she say, I can't hear you, it's muffling. So my phone, a new replacement phone I got, so oftentimes when I got on speakerphone, there's a watertight case, and if it's not open, it sounds like it's muffled. So she said, yeah, it sounds like you're muffled and you're doing something. I said, yeah, I'm working on something. I'm doing a job on a project right now. I said, but you can keep talking. So the modesty and just the gesture of just taking it off speakerphone and stopping what I was doing to converse with her, it was a no-lo. So, because I'd already realized she didn't even deserve the respect that she isn't given. Not that I was disrespecting her, but I wasn't going to stop working. And she was like, oh, well, I'm going to let you go work and finish working. I said, okay. All right, then. I say, got to get this job done. She said, okay, go ahead and do what you got to do. I said, okay, bye-bye. I didn't say talk to you later. I didn't say whatever. So that conversation from beginning to end, that interaction lasted for an upwards of 30 minutes from the time I met her and the time she went home. Maybe 40 at tops. So I escaped the bullet. I wanted to share one of these past experiences with you guys, man, as I was thinking about it. Because in my goings and comings, I see borderline personality disorder people quite frequently. And this is how I chalk it up. I'm not here to just distinctively, unequivocally determine whether a person is a borderline personality disorder person or a narcissistic personality disorder person. They are first cousins to each other, so they are incestuous, sleeping in the bed with each other for all I care. They're all in the same boat. I move with caution with both of them. If I sense any remote similarities, it doesn't matter. They're all the same in that respect, because the difference in the borderline personality disorder, in my experience, they will go their way. I don't readily believe they will smear you. I don't know what they do to a large degree. I do know what the narcissist will do, all things that they are capable of. And why I know all things that they're capable of? Because they'll do any damn thing. So that's the education right there. Yep. No guesswork there. But borderline personality disorder people, reason why I wanted to make this video, because I know that there are occasions where you may meet and think that one person, this one could be a possibility. She seems like, or he seems like somebody that I could grow with, or I could have some kind of relationship with. They seem mature. They seem like they're not narcissists. I just gave you a few traits of what they are. They will try to fine tune you and your existence out the gate. First dinner date. Mind what they become fixated on. Because they will become fixated on this thing, this petty thing. And even when you try to clear it up as, okay, I understand what you mean, that's not a big deal, I just, I'm sorry you feel that way, and you try to make, not amends, because we don't readily apologize for something we didn't even do. If it's something that we worthily know and can remember exactly how that played out, if we offended somebody, we know how we're supposed to respond to that, because that may be a narcissist trying to draw you in. They want to see how quick you will make up or make amends. And this is how they temperature check and heat check you. And so does the borderline personality person. They're trying to be your handler. They're trying to see the pressure test, like on a diamond. They're trying to see if you're a diamond in the rough. Trying to pressure test you. And it's just these nonchalant things they do, which are not nonchalant. Anytime you first meet somebody and they're adamant about trying to change a certain thing you do, not even knowing anything about you, and you express this thing as to why you did it in a very casual, respectful, cordial way, and they go on and on and on about it, this is a very distinct trait of a borderline personality disorder person. This is not talked about enough on these channels. I was just fortunate as I began to wake up in 2020 I was fortunate to go on and delve into that as well. And nonetheless, I met one, and I wasn't able to determine that she was one until I was invested. But that's a part of the process. Had we not went through this with the narcissist, we wouldn't be sitting here. And some people have gone through it with them, and they are going through it with them, and they haven't awakened and came to this knowledge. I think it was just in the cards for us. So, sorry it was so long, guys, but nonetheless, hope this helps and informs you guys of something that, we don't talk about enough. That being said, bless.